Michael Jordan's retirement after the 97-98 season is one of the most fascinating decisions in sports history. Here was a guy still at the absolute peak of his powers, still the best player in the world, still feared by every defender in the league, and yet after winning his 6th championship, he walked away. But why? Some people blame Chicago Bulls management, others thought it was just Jordan being Jordan, wanting to go out on top. But what if I told you there was a deeper reason? That MJ had seen what happens when legends don't walk away in time, and he refused to let that happen to him. Well, today we're breaking down why Jordan knew 1998 was the right time to leave, the behind-the-scenes conversations he had with Scottie Pippen, why so many NBA legends stay too long and tarnish their legacies, and whether MJ himself made a mistake by coming back with the Wizards. This one's going to spark some serious debate, so be sure to watch until the end and let's get into it.
Michael Jordan always said he wanted to retire on top, and so he has. Today he made official the story that broke Monday night that he would not return to the Bulls after 13 seasons, 6 championships, and countless game highlights.
Before we even get to Jordan's personal reasons, we have to acknowledge what was happening behind the scenes in Chicago. The Bulls were coming off their 2nd three-peat, 6 championships in 8 years. They had everything a dynasty needed: star power, coaching, veteran leadership, and championship DNA. But internally, the team was in shambles. Jerry Krause, the Bulls general manager, made it clear. Even if the Bulls went 82-0, Phil Jackson would not be coming back. Think about that. You've got the greatest player ever, the best coach in the league, and a team that still had enough talent to win, and the front office says, nope, time to rebuild. Michael Jordan had always said he wouldn't play for another coach. No Phil Jackson means no MJ.
We have opened up another can of worms. You may play again next year, huh?
Oh, if Phil comes back, that'd be great.
Only if Phil comes back.
Sure, it starts from the top.
But that wasn't the only reason he decided to leave. Even though MJ was still dominating, he had seen what happens when great players don't know when to say goodbye. He grew up watching guys like Dr. J and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, players who were once the best in the game, but by the end of their careers were coming off the bench, struggling to keep up with younger and faster players. Jordan simply never wanted to be that guy. He once said, and I quote, "What, am I supposed to look old and grey and you guys run me out because I'm not living up to the standards I'm accustomed to?" MJ wasn't just trying to play. MJ was playing to dominate, and dominate as long as he could. And the moment he felt like he wasn't the guy anymore, he knew it was time to leave. His personal standard was simple. As long as I'm still getting double and triple teamed, I still feel like I'm a threat. Now, when teams start to guard me one-on-one, well then I know it's past my time, he said. That's next level self-awareness if you ask me. Most players never admit that their skills are slipping until it's far too late. But Jordan, he had the discipline to walk away while he was still on top. What's crazy is that while the media and fans were speculating about Jordan's future, some of his Bulls teammates already knew 97-98 was his last dance. Scottie Pippen, Jordan's right-hand man for over a decade, later revealed that MJ had been telling him all season long. He said, and I quote, "This is my last go-around. I'm going to enjoy it, and then that's it." This was a farewell tour, before farewell tours were even a thing. Jordan knew that this was his last chance to put on a show, and he delivered. His 10th scoring title, another All-Star Game MVP, first team All-NBA and first team All-Defense, and of course a 6th championship sealed by that shot against the Jazz. It was the perfect ending to a perfect career, or at least it should have been. Most NBA legends don't get a storybook ending like Jordan. Instead, they hang on far too long. They refuse to accept that their prime is over. They want one more run, one more chance at the ultimate glory, and most of the time it doesn't end well. Let's look at some of the greatest players in recent history. Carmelo Anthony went from being a 10-time All-Star to struggling to find a team. By his final years, he was a role player and a far cry from his Denver and New York days. Dwayne Wade had a farewell tour, but his last years in Chicago and Cleveland weren't exactly pretty before coming back to Miami and being a shell of his former self. Dirk Nowitzki is a legend, but by the time he retired, his body was breaking down and he could barely move on defense. And then we have Paul Pierce, who was a superstar in Boston, but with the Clippers and with other stops, he became just another guy on the bench towards the end. These were some of the best to ever do it, guys who owned the league at one point. But at the end of the day, they were shells of their former selves at the end of their careers. And that's exactly what Jordan wanted to avoid, except he actually didn't. Here's where things get really complicated. As perfect as Jordan's Bulls career ended, he did come back. 2 years later, he returned with the Washington Wizards.
Michael Jordan makes it official and says he is indeed coming back to the game he loves. Of course, last week he announced in a release that he would be rejoining the Washington Wizards as a player.
But I feel like I can play the game of basketball at the highest level. And that's what I'm aiming to do, once I step back on the basketball court.
And let's be honest, it just wasn't the same. Yes, he was still good. He even dropped 51 points in a game at 38 years old. But the dominance, the aura, the fear factor, it was gone. Instead of competing for titles, he was leading a Wizards team that never made the playoffs. And the way it ended, instead of hitting a game-winning shot in the finals, his last moment in the NBA was a standing ovation in a meaningless game. Compare that to the shot against Utah in 1998. If Jordan never came back, his final moment would have been the defining image of basketball greatness. Instead, his Wizards years slightly tainted the perfection of his Bulls runs. So, did he make a mistake? I guess after all, that is the big question. Some people say yes, he should have stayed retired and kept his legacy untouchable. Others say no, his love for the game was too strong and the Wizards years didn't really damage his GOAT status. But what do you guys think? Michael Jordan had a rare gift. He knew exactly when to leave, at least the first time. His 1998 retirement was perfect, but like so many legends, he just couldn't stay away. So now I want to hear from you guys. Should MJ have stayed retired in 98? Which NBA stars do you think stayed far too long? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more upcoming videos and NBA content. My name is Damian Peters, this is Basketball Network. As always, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time.